Close your eyes and picture the world in the summer of 108. The sun is just beginning to rise, spilling golden light over rivers that snake through wilderness untouched by man. Villages are few and scattered. Hunters walk the woods quietly, and the silence of nature stretches for hundreds of miles. No railways, no highways, no cities, only forest, sky, and the people who live close to the land. And then the silence is broken. At first, it is only a streak of light in the sky. Some say it looked like a second sun. Others later describe it as a ball of fire, burning brighter and brighter as it raced across the heavens. Dogs began to bark, horses panicked, and people turned their eyes upward in confusion and fear. The morning light was suddenly drowned out by something alien, something no one alive had ever seen before. Moments later, the sky ripped open. An explosion, unlike anything in recorded history, erupted 5 miles above the ground. The fireball expanded with blinding intensity, hotter than the surface of the sun. In an instant, 80 million trees across 2,000 square kilometers of forest were flattened, knocked down like matchsticks, all pointing away from the center of destruction. The heat was so fierce that people dozens of miles away felt it scorched their skin. Its shock was felt across the planet. In England, half a world away, people reported strange, glowing skies for nights afterward. Skies so bright that newspapers claimed you could read a book outdoors at midnight without a candle. All across Europe and Asia, the atmosphere shimmered with strange colors. For months, the sunsets burned red and purple, and the nights glowed with eerie silver clouds. What had fallen from the sky? Some believed it was a comet. Others thought it was a piece of an asteroid, a chunk of rock and ice, traveling through space for millions of years, waiting to collide with Earth. Scientists estimate the explosion released the energy of at least 15 megatons of TNT, about 1,000 times more powerful than the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima. And yet, miraculously, not a single confirmed human death was recorded. Had the fireball arrived just a few hours later, it would have struck over the Russian capital of St. Petersburg, and millions would have died in an instant. The world as we know it might have been changed forever. Imagine for a moment that Tunguska didn't happen over the remote emptiness of Siberia, but over a city. Imagine that same fireball blazing across the morning sky, not above endless forest, but above New York City. It is July, the streets already warm with the summer sun. Vendors are setting up their carts. Children are running down sidewalks, and office workers are beginning their day. Suddenly, the morning light is eclipsed by a blazing second sun streaking across the sky. Heads turn upward, conversations stop mid-sentence, and the city falls into stunned silence. Then, a flash. In a split second, the fireball detonates 5 miles above Manhattan. The blast is brighter than anything the human eye has ever seen. Windows across the entire city shatter instantly. The shock wave slams through skyscrapers, ripping glass and stone from their frames. In Brooklyn and Queens, people are thrown to the ground as if struck by an invisible hammer. The explosion releases the energy of 1,000 Hiroshimas. Central Park ignites in an instant. Entire city blocks are flattened as if they were made of paper. Bridges twist and collapse. The Hudson River surges violently against its banks. Within seconds, millions of lives are extinguished. Those at the edge of the blast survive only long enough to watch a pillar of fire consume the skyline. And that's just New York. The shockwave races outward. Towns across New Jersey are leveled. Fires spread, unchecked, for miles. Ash rises into the stratosphere, darkening skies as far away as Washington, D.C., hours later. People in Chicago would see the glowing clouds, the same strange light that Europe saw in 1908. The very existence of modern history might depend on a stroke of luck, on the Earth spinning just a little differently when a rock from space came hurtling in. And yet the mystery deepens. Despite the immense destruction, no fragment of the object was ever found. Scientists searched for decades, but no crater exists. Many believe the asteroid or comet never reached the ground. It exploded in the atmosphere with such force that it vaporized completely, leaving only shock waves and fire behind. For the people of 1908, the sky had turned into a weapon, but they had no way to understand what had happened. No one in Europe or America even heard about Tunguska for nearly 20 years. By the time scientists finally reached the remote site in the 1920s, all they found was devastation. Endless miles of trees, flattened like toy soldiers, all pointing away from a single invisible center. The forest floor was scorched bare. Birds, animals, entire herds of reindeer were wiped out in an instant. And yet, for all this destruction, the Tunguska Event is not unique. Astronomers now believe that objects of this size, house-sized or building-sized asteroids, pass close to Earth far more often than we like to imagine. Tunguska was a warning, written in fire across the sky, that our planet is not safe. Space is not empty. It is filled with silent travelers, comets, asteroids, fragments of worlds broken long ago, and any one of them could end our civilization in an instant. If Tunguska happened over New York today, it wouldn't just be a national tragedy. It would reshape the entire planet. The global economy would collapse overnight. Communications would fall silent. Stock markets would vanish. Millions of climate refugees would flee the smoking ruins. The political world order could crumble in weeks. But because Tunguska happened in the middle of nowhere, most people at the time never even heard of it. The greatest explosion in recorded history, larger than any nuclear test, passed almost unnoticed by the modern world. And that may be the most haunting detail of all. The Tunguska explosion left behind no crater, no fragments, no monument of stones, only a forest of fallen trees, their trunks still pointing away from the invisible epicenter more than a century later. It is as though nature itself bowed down before a force too great to comprehend. For decades, scientists debated what had happened. Some thought it was a comet, a ball of ice and dust from the far reaches of the solar system, disintegrating in our atmosphere. Others believed it was an asteroid, a chunk of rock left over from the birth of the planets. Some even imagined stranger explanations, a miniature black hole passing through Earth, or the crash of an alien craft. The truth is almost certainly more ordinary, yet still no less terrifying. A space rock, just a few hundred feet wide, carried enough power to flatten 80 million trees and shake the Earth. Now pause and think about that. Humanity has built cities that shine brighter than the stars. We've split the atom, walked on the moon, and wired the planet together with invisible threads of information. And yet, for all our power, for all our progress, we still live at the mercy of the sky. A single rock from space could, in seconds, erase everything we have ever known. Astronomers tell us that Tunguska-sized impacts happen once every few centuries. Larger impacts, far rarer but inevitable, could end civilization altogether. The same sky that gives us light, warmth, and beauty is also home to silent threats we cannot control. And here is the haunting thought. Tunguska was a gift, a warning, a rehearsal. It showed us, without costing us millions of lives, what the universe is capable of. If it had happened over London, or New York, or Beijing, the 20th century would have been written in ashes. The fact that it happened over empty forest, that is not fate, not destiny, that is luck, blind, undeserved luck. Tonight, as you drift to sleep, imagine that quiet Siberian dawn in 1908, hunters in the forest, children waking in wooden huts, birds calling from the trees. Then imagine the silence shattering as the heavens themselves seem to split apart, a world-ending force, in a place so remote that history almost forgot it. But we cannot forget, because Tunguska is not just history, it is prophecy. The sky will rain fire again. Someday, somewhere, another Tunguska will come. And when it does, the question is not whether Earth will survive. The Earth has endured far worse. The real question is whether we will be ready. And so, remember, the universe is vast, our world is fragile, and every breath we take is a gift from ancestors who survived 1,000 close calls. Tunguska was one of them. And perhaps the very reason you and I are here tonight, alive, able to wonder at the stars, is because in 1908 the Earth was merciful. Close your eyes. Picture the endless forest, the fallen trees, the silence after the fire, and sleep knowing this. The night sky above you holds both wonder and danger. It has ended worlds before, but tonight, for now, it is only stars.